Salaams and welcome. Continuing with the reason of the forgetfulness curve and how we can avoid this, because this is very, very important. Many students are facing this difficulty because the things that you learn today, you're forgetting it. So that is why we are paying special attention to this forgetfulness curve. And there is a science behind repetition and known as the science of repetition. The brain strengthens connections through repeated exposure. It actually forms grooves in the brain, and that is how habits are formed. If you repeatedly do a certain thing, then grooves are formed in your brain, and this strengthens your ability to remember certain things. The forgetting curve, this curve here on top is known as the forgetting curve, shows how we lose information without reviewing that information. If you're not going to revise that information, it's guaranteed by the end of the week, you're going to forget 90% of that information. So spaced repetition is very, very important. Reviewing the material at increasing intervals maximizes retention. So you review the work 24 hours later, and then 72 hours later, and then by the weekend, every weekend, 168 hours later, right? So repetition builds the neural pathways of knowledge. The brain contains 100 billion neurons, which are 100 billion brain cells, which has a long axon. But it has also got dendrites, which is the interconnection between different parts of the brain. So the brain is joining or forming links between different areas of the brain or the knowledge or information that you have learned. So initially, when you are remembering something, just think of two pieces of, or two rocks that are held together by a piece of cotton. Cotton can break very easily, but the more you learn something or the more you repeat something, then instead of a cotton link, it then becomes a string. Then as you continue learning or repeating that information, instead of a string, it becomes a rope. As you continue revising, instead of a rope, it becomes a very thick rope. Then instead of a thick rope, it then becomes a steel cable because of constant repetition. Once it becomes a steel cable, then you're not going to forget that item. For example, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. You're not going to forget that because you've repeated it so often that it has formed a steel cable in your brain. Stay well, stay focused, stay mentally strong. Alhamdulillah.